We've proved it. We won the biggest court case in Europe, going through a government inquiry called the HIA inquiry. Me, Derby, and 533 victims changed 127 laws. To protect children, they won the case. Why is the laws not been implemented? They haven't been implemented because the government is sitting on their arse, because there's too many government ministers, there's too many government politicians involved in the rape and abuse of innocent little children. Today, we've got 160 MPs on the sex register. That could be anything from pushing your secretary up to child abuse. I stand here today as a vet. LVC, special branch. It took me 2 years.
Go on, Joe.
To put my barrier, because I knew the day I put my barrier, I was going to be a target because of the splinter groups of the IRA. I stand for Soldier A to Z, and I stand for all the children in this country who are being raped and abused every single day. What's the government doing? Nothing. What's the chief inspectors doing? Nothing. Sorry for saying it, everybody knows when I come close to this building, right? Salford Social Services are the worst, one of the worst in this country for abusing children. Me, Katie, Sammy, we've all been here. While we've been doing our demos here, we've had children come over to us and tell us about their rape and abuse of this very building. It's hard to stand here. I'm 56 years of age. Anybody can Google our case and you can see it online. I fight for children. There's lots of us that do. What these kids do, they take the children off you for no excuse under forced adoption. When they take the children off you, they put you in a home where you're going to be raped and abused. And this building has got a track record of doing that. I told them 2 years ago when they were camping on that field right in front of you, yep, they would be back. I am coming back, along with lots of people, and they will put tents back on that field, and they will show these motherfuckers they're not getting away with nothing. Sorry for this man, but you know, whatever way you look at it, how can you turn round and justify raping a child of a life? What they don't get, you're the victim, you're the survivor that has to go through your whole life, knowing what them dirty bastards did to you. It's not nice. I've always said, and I always will, I will never get rid of my memories until the day I take my last damn breath. Why should that be allowed to happen to children? Why should children be pushed under the carpet and have to grow up in their lives, fucked up, mental health issues, and this somehow the government think that it's okay? No, it isn't okay. That's why we're all here today, because we care about our children. Our children are supposed to be our future. If we don't do what we're doing here today, and we don't do it all over this country, our children have no future. What are we leaving them? That we never cared? That we never stood up and tried to fight for them? I will always fight for the children. I will always fight for my brothers and sisters as veterans. Thank you, everybody.
I'd like to tell you a bit about my two sons. For many, especially me, I thought children were the place for children's homes. But I was too blind. I'm not going to go all through the ins and outs with my son. But he was first of all placed with his father, who was controlling, violent and abusive towards me. He used to use Ryan as a pawn. In January 2019, he was removed from his father's care due to parental alienation. In that January, I found out that he destroyed everything of Ryan's, every photo, every memory that we had for Ryan was gone. He was then placed with first-time foster carers. They used to torment him by saying his mummy was outside the door. Ryan's head was all over the place. He grew to fear because of his father. In December, I then got a phone call to tell me that my son was now in a children's home. I thought he'd be safe. I thought that he'd be happier there. I thought he would get the help. When I first see my son in January, he had that little smile back. He told me he remembered that I loved him. I then seen him in February, and what I seen was horrifying. It broke me, and even to this day now it is breaking me. My little boy was held face down. He had flooded his room. I reported this ground restraint because it's illegal in the UK to use a ground restraint on a child. They'd left him with bruises to his neck, his jaw and his upper arms. The police didn't care. Social services didn't care. I've now been blocked from any type of information from my son. In June I had a 10-minute phone call with my little boy. He told me that he loved me. He told me that they was making him talk to his father again. I have not seen or heard from my son since June this year. I have begged for information. I've begged that to let me know that it's alive and well, and I don't even get that information. I'm standing here today for my two sons, Ryan and Harley, but not for them, but for every stolen child in the UK. Because we need to stand together now. We need to stop this. We need our children home where they're safe. I've been talking to the Blair twins, who've given me a lot of support. And I know they've changed these laws, and they've given me the strength to keep fighting now for my son. But together we are stronger, and we need to stand together, because our children are needed in us now more than ever.
Thank you. Hey!
Lovely lot. Picked a really bad spot right in the front. So some of your faces I know, some I don't. So I'll introduce myself. I'm Louise Dickens and I work with John Wedger. I've started working with him. My history is my grandfather was an MP. Some guys know him, like Mr. Jimmy. He was called Geoffrey Dickens, and he first exposed the VIP paedophile ring operating in Westminster back in the 1980s. So I'm sure you can imagine how well that went down in that era. He continued his work against protecting children and exposing paedophiles, including Peter Heyman. Quite a few. He wasn't very popular, shall we say, for what he did. So my granddad passed away in '95, and as John puts it, I've picked up the baton. I'm following his work in child protection. So I've teamed up with John, who is amazing, absolutely amazing, and we're exposing so much stuff. We are particularly strong on exposing satanic ritual abuse. Some of you guys may have come across the horrors of SRA. If you haven't, I suggest you look it up because it's absolutely everywhere. Some of the things that I'm focusing on the page are educating people. I want to start not only raising the awareness of satanic ritual abuse, but I want to make people more aware of the red flags and have more of an understanding of it. Because what we look at as, oh, it's a naughty child, oh, there's a child with ADHD, all these different things, there can sometimes be something else bubbling in the background, and there's an awful lot of red flags that often are missed, as we've seen in a lot of the interviews that we've already done. Children have asked for help and they've not got it. And then, as some of you guys have experienced, unfortunately, social services come in and then you end up in an even worse position. There are so many flaws with the whole system, it's unreal. It's absolutely heartbreaking. Oh, that's better. Sun's gone behind a cloud. The flaws in the system are horrific. The children that need the help aren't getting it, and the children that don't need the help are then being targeted. We can't win with the system the way that it is. So we need to keep exposing and keep exposing and keep exposing. So days like this are wonderful. And yeah, we're just going to keep on going, aren't we, gang? Yeah, that'll do.
Thank you.
Oh, grab that a sec. I need to get me stick out my bag.
Sorry, I'm just making y'all go blind.
Hi guys and girls, and I don't know how many here know my story. I'm an ex-army medic. I got diagnosed with PTSD 2008. I had my children removed on the 15th of January 2015, listed as a danger to them for having PTSD. My children have actually been told by a child psychiatrist that I am dangerous. I could snap at any point. I will need medication for life. When I put my story out a couple of months ago, the amount of veterans that came forward, we have 200 veterans in Northern Ireland that have had their children removed, and another 1,800 that are on the Child Protection Register. That's just in Northern Ireland. So what is it here? You know, it's massive, massive numbers, and you're being targeted for simply having PTSD. You serve your country to do a job, and then you're listed as a danger. It's not acceptable. My 5 children have all been separated. Anyone that served Northern Ireland will know it's still hit and miss. 2 of my children are in Londonderry. One of my children is in Coleraine, which is okay-ish. 2 are in Ballymena. So they're spread out across the whole of Northern Ireland. I have very minimal visitation and have slowly been phased out. On the 18th of November, my youngest son goes up for forced adoption, and my 4 other children, because they're classed as too old, will go into long-term foster care. And that is just simply for having PTSD. So we need to make a change, we need to make a difference, and we need them to actually understand that PTSD is not a mental health illness that is a danger in any way. Okay? Thanks guys, who's next?
Thank you.
Well done, Bella.
Right. I'm not going to take much of your time, but obviously I'm Paul, I'm from Marker. But seeing that most of you know what we're here for, it's pointless even going into anything like that. There's no one in the building. So my main thing is we're at war. We've been at war for fucking years, and all we're doing is marching and just making a bit of noise on the streets. But me personally, I think we've got to start being together like, there's loads of us at United, about, was it, about 20 fucking teams now? And there's, what, 2 fucking teams here. Where's the unity in the teams? Like, it's a joke in my eyes. But Parliament is where we want to fucking be. We've got to start removing the corruption and all the fucking politicians. And until we've done that, our kids are going to be under fucking threat for many fucking years until, even when we're gone. So let's stop doing the fucking bullshit on the streets, because it ain't fucking working, it hasn't worked for years. Let's just take us straight to where we need to go, and let's fucking sink the fucking slump.
Yes.
Because one of my sisters started taking drugs, left the kids with another sister. She couldn't look after them, she had a breakdown. So we had a little bit of contact with social services, not a lot, and they sort of like went into like a little bit of respite the kids, so my sister Tricia could like recover. Now, if I knew then what I know now, that I would never have had any contact with social services. It's not like they could have been taught, but now when I hear stories of other children and other families that have been broke up and they've had the kids took off them, it's so scary. It's so scary. And I'm just glad that I woke up quick enough to realise what was going on. We had a strong family. That was one of the reasons why we kept together. But not everybody has that chance. Not everybody's got living grandparents. Not everyone's got as many sisters or brothers or whatever that we had in our family. So we was lucky. But there's a lot of people out there that aren't lucky. And nearly every week I'm talking to someone who's had the kids took off them. I'm trying to tell them that it's not the end of the world. And just last week at Longside, we were talking to a family who'd had the kids took off them. We had somebody come up, a lad called Mohammed, and his kid fell over, just had a scrape on his leg, went into school the next day. His parents didn't notice it. Next thing, social services are on his case, and they're still on his case now because he was getting angry at them, even though the kids said it was nothing to do with their parents or anything. They're on his case, and for people like that, I just don't know. It's just so sad and saddening, honestly, it is. So we can blame this on a lot of things. There's a lot of reasons we can blame it from. Obviously, we know that they make money. Obviously, we know that the family unit isn't as strong as it should be. Years ago, this would have never happened because we had good family units, and we know that the authorities and the globalists or whatever, they're trying to break up our family units. So I haven't had direct experience. I know a lot of you have, but just keep your chins up, talk to people. There's plenty of people, all those lot here, all those lot. I know that we will talk to people if they have got a problem. I know we'll try and guide them to where they need to go, to where they need to get help, and just keep strong. They're never going to win, they're never going to win, because there's more people waking up every single day. And there's demonstrations. There is actually a demonstration in Failsworth today for children, but they've been threatened off the council that if they do turn up, they're going to get arrested. Whether it's going to go ahead or not, I'll find out after, but they're happening all over the country. People are waking up. So from me to anyone who's in trouble, who's lost a kid, please keep your chin up, keep asking for help, talk to people. Talking is one of the best things you can do. Get a bit of advice. There's plenty of us here who can send you to the right place where you need to get advice and stuff like that. But again, keep your chin up. Thank you.
Hello all. I'd just like to share my story. I will pre-warn it is quite upsetting, so I do apologise. Basically, I became a mum for the first time at 19. I was abused as a child in the care system. I was failed massively. My first child I was in a DV relationship with. I begged and begged social services to help me leave this relationship because it wasn't good. Instead, they snatched my baby. Allegations were made that I neglected her. There was an allegation I broke her arm, which I had to get medical evidence from the hospital to prove. She was born with a shoulder dislocation. So they took her and I didn't even get a chance. She went up for adoption. I had my last goodbye contact 7 years ago. I went on to have further children. They told me that my children would stay with me if I agreed to support and do courses. I did that. A complete lie. The minute I pushed that baby out, they were at the hospital bed waiting. Never stood a chance. I've done everything they could have possibly asked me to do. I did DV courses 3 times over. I did courses they asked me to do for parental. I did everything and it just wasn't good enough. All I can honestly say is never trust a social worker, never, because he will fail you massively. Back in 2016, I was a victim of a rape. I was held hostage by a convicted rapist of 13 years. Do you know what the police did? Arrested him and sent him to prison for a month and released him on a conditions he'll remain in Ireland. Now disclosed he's back in Cheshire. He never went to Ireland. Never went. One of my children are possibly his. They told me he could have unsupervised contacts if that was agreed, that he was a potential father. Now, how could I be so much of a risk if I protect my children, but a convicted rapist can have
Breathe.
Go on, Queen. Take your time, girl. Take your time. Do well.
Take a deep breath.
How can a convicted rapist have unsupervised contact? That's how you know how corrupt our social services are. That's how you know how corrupt our police are. They're not there to protect you. They're against you. You know, they don't care how you're failing as a parent. They don't care if you're struggling. All they're interested in is your baby. Now I want everyone to be aware, and I'm sure most of you here are in the same situation with your children not with you. And I don't know how social services can live on a day-to-day basis just for the pay rise, because that's what it's all for, money, to snatch somebody's baby away from them. How can they say that I'm an unfit mother if they've never seen me do it? How can they say that I can't look after my children if they've been at the hospital bed waiting once I've given birth?
Thank you, Queenie. Well done, Queenie.
You did it. You know what? I think are you able to check on my Sienna account and make sure that's sat the right way?
Ladies and gents, I'm trying my best to say something. It's going to crack me up, I know it will. About 12 years ago, I got a letter off the social services.
You hadn't turned it on, that's why, Katie. Yeah.
Sienna Morgan. I just want to make sure it's sat the right way on the thing.
Well, anyway,
it's looking a bit
my name's Richard Godfrey. About 12 years ago, me and my ex-partner had a baby. But before that, she got a letter off social services saying that there was going to be a meeting. And that put my back up straight away because I don't trust them. So I thought, right, I'll ring her up and ask her why. And it says, oh, it's because she didn't, she hasn't been going
Turn
to
your screen
the
rotation off a minute.
appointment. So I thought, right, okay. So it turns up and it starts talking. I said, what's it about then? It's about last. And I thought, what were you talking about? Because she was missing the anyway, that was lies. Anyway, our son was born.
Right, I'll wait till he's finished his speech and then I'll flip it round again.
The relationship went tits up.
Your life's on the side.
And apparently she was on the social services for about 6 months. She got into a relationship with the next door neighbour, say about 6 months after I left. He started abusing my son. Social services didn't even know, slept on him. He ended up murdering him, basically. Giving titles, he filmed all the abuse on his mobile phone.
Tried slapping him with all that in 2010 and 14, he couldn't get him.
Times. And my ex said she didn't know
generalised
nothing about
anxiety
it.
disorder, which is
She didn't know he was getting abused or anything
but
like
my
that by
doctors
him.
and that also think I've got PTSD, but don't
And
diagnose
social
it, which I'm trying to go
services,
back into with kids.
afterwards, the trial,
They say they
I had
can't fight
meetings
back
with
because of
them.
that.
I asked
For the same
questions.
reasons like the same as you, I'm a
Find
high
out.
risk.
Well, they use
Another 6 months along the line. I'm still waiting for results on it.
use
Use
that
everything on
use
me.
that in my
And then
this one, but not my older
First
one.
he used future harm with me,
After the
then it
trial,
was because I've got all these illnesses,
found out
and then it was something else.
judge
You've
didn't
actually
know
got
about
nothing on there.
I'm really surprised at how many of us are in the same situation.
And he's doing 24 years in prison at the minute. And it's just, I mean, it's just right for you, Katie.
I've been on search for
that
leave
video
for
on
years.
YouTube video.
That's the only one.
I'll put it on the
Yeah,
post.
that's the only one I found work with
That's
me.
how psychotic I am. But
People
not.
like
I'm on 200
that
milligrams.
telling fucking lies really grip my shit. That's why I can't stand it. They just tell lies after lies after lies. It's about time it stops. If I can stop one child getting abused, then my son's not going to kill the brain.
Hi everyone, I'm Michelle from WAG, WomenAgainstGrooming. We've come along today just to hear all your stories. Really heartbreaking hearing some of these stories. But I'd just like to say, a lot of the survivors, victims, depends what they like to call themselves, everybody likes different, a different tag for themselves. So a lot of the times the young ladies that we work with have come from care homes. This is how they've managed to be groomed by grooming gangs. And very often the social services have stopped them from having contact with the families. And when that happens, when children aren't allowed contact with the families, they don't have anybody to tell that something's happening. The suspicions, or if somebody's trying to talk them round into doing things they don't want to do. Now what we'd like to see is more support put in for families instead of taking children straight away. There needs to be more money put in to help people to keep the children in education and support wise, because there's so many children going into care. And very often they fall into bad situations with bad people. There's people that hang around care homes on purpose, looking for these kids who don't have anybody to support them and look after them. The best place for children is always going to be with the families. Only in the worst situations should children be removed. There should always be support put in place. Or else we're just going to carry on having victim after victim who are being exploited by child grooming gangs, and this has to stop. It's something that councils all across the country need to be looking into, how they support families into keeping the children instead of taking them. Because let's face it, as a child, on your own, in a care home, in a different town, who are you going to start hanging around with? You might start hanging around more often than not with the wrong type of people, because they accept people that aren't from that area. So it's very easy to fall in with the wrong crowd when you're all alone and got nobody to help you. So we'd just like to call for more support for families. greater understanding of why families struggle instead of going in straight away to take children. And well done everybody that's speaking out again about your own stories today. Well done. Thank you.
Mine's got the stickers on. That's how I know it was settled.
I did my assessment.
And she did my partner's as well.
She actually got shot off.
Hello everybody, thanks for coming. Listen, I've been doing this for about 4 years, helping whistleblowers like Melanie Shaw, Carol Woods. I've been doing this helping survivors. And I've always said, there for the grace of God go I. Well, I can't tell you what's happened, but unbelievably, I've been doing this for 4 years, and I've recently found out it's looked like it's happening in my extended family. And it's bloody heartbreaking. I've been helping people for 4 years, never thought it could happen in my family. And this is someone in the extended family. I can't tell you, they've not asked for help yet. But I've let someone know to let them know that I know people that can help them. And we all know this has been going on for a bloody long time, and it's happening at the very top. As Louise Dickens, who's here now, the granddaughter of Geoffrey Dickens MP, he was a real MP. That fella stood up in the House of Parliament in the 1980s, and he said, Peter Fielder is here. He was actually warned by the top brass in the Tory party to shut his gob. But Geoffrey Dickens MP didn't put his career first, he put the children. And he spoke out and named names. He also did 4 documents to Lord Blair, who was the Home Secretary at the time. They all disappeared. There was even a name of Geoffrey Dickens MP in one of his mates. And when somebody asked him, how come you gave him your mate's name? He said, because the children came first. Geoffrey Dickens was threatened, he was scared for his life for a long time. There was none of this internet in them days. They had control of the papers, the TV and the radio. So what they did, they took the mick out of him. They called Geoffrey Dickens MP a clown. They even gave him a nickname, Bunter. They tried to make him look an idiot, so no one would believe him when he was saying Peter Fielder was at the top. That was in the 1980s. Here we are in 2020, and we now know Geoffrey Dickens MP was telling the truth. Just look at lately. What's his name? Eric Joyce, a former MP. He had a 50-second film of penetration sex of kids who's under 12 months old, and he got a 12-month suspended sentence. Sir Stephen Smith MP, Sir Clement Floyd MP, and there's none anymore. Lord Jenner, Lord Britain. I know a bloke who's supposed to be interfered by Lord Britain. They get away with it. We can never get them till they're dead. But we people here, we've got to keep shouting it. And when people who are survivors, when they look at me, they go, Jimmy the Hat, 4 years ago, we would say you're eccentrics and you're lunatics. 4 years later, when I'm listening to Joseph Bobby Blair, Michael Tarriger and the rest of them telling their stories, I believe him. So you've got to look at me and go, this bloke thought we were idiots. He now believes us and he's telling people what's happening in this country to the children. It's fantastic you've come from all over the country today. Around 50 of us here. It's actually great to see you all, and we have to keep shouting for the children. Because it's going on, as I said, but for the grace of God I was saying, that could be me. And it sounds like it's this grooming is. This grooming is happening, looks like, in my extended family. I can't say the names because they've got asked for help, but I've made sure that someone's told them how I can get them to people and help them. It's going up, it's at the top, it's at the bottom, the filthy people, the dirty men, and we have got to keep going on and on. And these social services, they're letting down the kids. This forced adoption is an absolute disgrace. Thank you very much.
Spend all your time waiting for that second chance, for a break that would make it okay. There's always some reason to feel it's hard at the end of the day. I need some distraction. Oh, beautiful release. Memories seep from my veins. Let me be empty, oh, and weightless, and maybe I'll find some peace tonight in the arms of the angel. Fly away from here, from this dark, cold hotel room and the endlessness that you fear. You are pulled from the wreckage of your silent reverie. You're in the arms of the angel. May you find some comfort here. So tired of the straight line, and everywhere you turn, there's vultures and thieves at your back. The storm keeps on twisting. You keep on building the lies that you make up for all that you lack. It don't make no difference. Escape one last time. It's easier to believe in this sweet madness, all this glorious sadness that brings me to my knees in the arms of the angel. Fly away from here, from this dark, cold hotel room and the endlessness that you fear. You are pulled from the wreckage of your silent reverie. You're in the arms of the angel. May you find some comfort here. You're in the arms of the angel. May you find some comfort.